21. Jill. I'm there now. The wasps in the dashboard and AC in the engine. The car wrapped around a tall round oak. That's where I live now. Her body was inside, but I pulled it out. I light the candle and press it into the dirt. She's buried beneath. I still don't know her face or name. My body could be filled with anything. It could be filled with sand, composed of wood or cotton. My body is only smaller and smaller things, separating all the time. It isn't even a body anymore, or a name you can give to something. I sense every strand, every twine, winding and curling against each other. The trees dance when I breathe. I see him flip between the branches. I can smell the placky notches where his teeth should be. Still here but far away, like me. She's here with me, a face and body covered in wrinkles, so much older than I will ever be. She holds my hand. She tells me I will be okay. She tells me I will succeed. The world is waist-deep, stagnant water, and paper nests raveling themselves into the sky. The world is my shiver, an orange cord drawn down between my breasts, behind my ribs and out my other end. The first time I came here was so long ago. Sometimes I hear a whisper and a hum, pulling me back, and I can see how I used to be, but I know I can never be that way again. Lou. She wasn't in school. She didn't respond to messages or phone calls, like she'd been swept from existence. Arnie tried to console me. You did the ritual, right? Yes, I couldn't find the words for what I'd seen. I think I hurt her. Sometimes that's the only way you can save someone. He smiled and wagged his head. You've seen the way God sees, and gods hurt people all the time. I started going all the way wet. He put his arms around me. You're the best person I've ever known. I'm sure she's okay. At lunch, I hid out in the computer lab and checked the forum. She wasn't there. I got home from school. Dad was home from work. He asked if he could speak with me. We sat down on the couch and he explained that Jill was in the ER, that she was in rough shape, a crippling pneumonia. He said that they had to induce a coma. I flipped Maxima blue and asked if I could go see her. No, he said. Visiting hours are over. I started going wet. He rolled his eyes and said, maybe tomorrow. He drove me to the hospital the next day. He stayed in the car because he didn't want to go inside on his day off. Directional placards led me down the sterile hallways into an elevator. The sliding doors opened to a nurse's station. The nurse brought me into an alabaster room, heaving boxes with mechanical breath, bags and boxes wheezing, auxiliary organs, a place I'd been before. Her skin was drained white and slick, swept with pimples, tiny gray and pink mushrooms sprouting out of all corners of her eyes, lips, and nostrils. A tube as thick as a roll of quarters running down her throat, a smaller one up her nose. Her face tremored and spasmed. Tyler sat in the chair beside her. The nurse told us to let him know if we needed anything and left. You made it, Tyler said. It felt like I was going to die. Did you read the books? He stroked Jill's forehead with his fingertips. Her eyes popped open and swam in separate directions, one independent from the other. He leaned forward, rolling eyes and lips drawn back. You've seen me, right? His eyes swollen and glassy. You've seen me there. I knew it. I don't know. You do. His eyes poured wet. It's never going to be like this again for me. It's already going away. I barely feel my part out there. He pointed to an empty corner with his finger. They don't know I'm here anymore. I wrapped my stomach with my arms. Why are you doing this? His pupils seemed to grow past his irises, bleeding into the white. Doing what? Doing this to Jill. He drew his hand back from Jill's head and gnawed on the tip of his thumb. It's easy to be shitty when someone loves you unconditionally. Did you read the books, or did Arnie teach you? He bit off a piece of thumbnail and spat it on the floor. You know half of what he says is bullshit, right? What do you want? My eyes streaming now. I don't think I want anything anymore. He pulled his thumb from his mouth. He held it out in front of his eyes. A thin line of blood dribbled down to his palm. It's weird. Sometimes I'm not even sure why I wanted her in the first place. I crouched down on my calves, put my head in my hands, and went all the way wet. I felt a hand on my head. I stood upright and backward. Tyler stood before me with his hand out, bloodied. You're going to die becoming what you need to be, but when that happens, you won't need who you are right now. He stepped forward and hugged me softly. At first, I pulled away, before letting it happen. It's starting, and now that it's started, there's anything you can do to make it stop. He let go and pushed past me, walking out of the room and down the hall and out of sight. I never saw him again. I sat down beside Jill and wrapped my hands around her. Her eyes swam, the monitors chirped, the breathing machine hissed. Jill, I'm there now. Tell me I will succeed, that it's the world blinking out and not me, like the ones I loved and tried to pull back. Tell me he'll never set the world afire. Tell me so I can finally go to sleep. The woman buried beneath my candle won't let him. She props me up, sits by my bed. She tells me my state isn't fixed. There is no rope binding my wrists. There is always a window to climb out of. She tells me I can save myself and find a place I love before the world dissolves. She stays, even when I turn cruel and out of phase. I learn to leave. I leave before he sets himself ablaze, the fire in his skin and hair. I can't see it, but I know it's happening. I can't see it because I'm already so far away. I'm out here now, forever. I woke to the nurses pulling tubes from my nose, throat, and urethra, sore pressure on all my orifices. My vision streaked but growing clear. Mom was there. I wasn't sure if I still knew her, only a collection of matter and electricity, an idea of life. She told me she missed me and that she loved me so much, face wet but still nothing. Lou sat beside her, smiling, crying, looking after me. Lou. Jill's mom went downstairs to get some food. We sat there, quiet for a while, listening to the machines beep and hiss. I dreamt you were with me, she said. I looked down and away. I couldn't say anything. She lifted her hand and grazed my shoulder. Thank you, she said. I went all the way wet. My thoughts blurred, tracing the words I could say that could never make any sense, make everything feel okay, but they vanished as I tried to sound them out. Jill whispered that it was okay, that I didn't need to say anything. I don't know whether I actually did anything, whether I was actually responsible or had any influence on her escape, but I let her believe it, because it meant the world could be something more than just the people trying to destroy us. Amir. Tyler never came back to school, but he came back to me. I missed you, he said. He said he was sorry for letting Jill get between us. He said the pendulum was swinging backward, that it was gunning for him now. I didn't know what he meant, but it sounded like penance. I hugged him close and kissed his neck, and I cried and collapsed into him while he held me up, just barely. Kennedy and Sydney came to visit. Kennedy's eyes wild and dilated. She clenched and opened her fists in rhythm with the room's machinery. Oh my God, you look so good. Like, you don't look bad at all. Sydney just offered a quiet hi. They get you fucked up? Oh, I bet they got you all fucked up. I said it was fine. I asked how she was. I'm just so good. She leaned back in the chair and felt her belly and shoulders sensuously. It's all just so good. They discharged me later that week. Mom told me that Tyler had moved out. I said that was the only way I was ever going to come home. She started crying again and wouldn't stop. She never said she was sorry. Over the following days, I puttied over the lines in the doorframe and painted over the crooked mural. I boarded the basement door shut. I burned the clothes he left behind. I would have burned down the entire house if it wouldn't have left us with nothing. "22. Jill. No matter what happens to you, everyone eventually makes you pretend like everything's back to normal. Mom sent me back to school. There was only a month left and I was way behind, but each of my teachers took me aside and explained that I'd be passing anyways. Must have been pity, or maybe they already had too many students failing, so I gave up on all of it and just slept through the classes. I'd see Lou with Arnie in the cafeteria and halls, but stayed out of their way, refraining from further disrupting the life they were building. Tyler wasn't anywhere, and I tried not to worry about that. I only hung out with Sydney and Kennedy. Sydney spoke even less now, her shoulders forever bent inward, as if trying to touch. Kennedy looked like she was disappearing. Her waistline shrunk to nothing. Her skin turned pasty and greasy, purple-gray rings around her eyes, the way I had looked just a month before. She said she had a new boyfriend. I only went to graduation because I knew it would make Mom happy. They had the ceremony on the football field, just beneath the goalpost where the dirty boys had hanged themselves. I think the sheriff gave the keynote speech. I spaced out for most of it. I saw Sydney down a few pews from me, but not Kennedy. Sydney rushed me after the ceremony, holding out her phone, Kennedy's voice crackling through. "I don't know where I am," sounding all fucked up. She hung up and I tried calling back, but it went straight to voicemail. I had Mom give us a ride home. We got our bikes and went off over town, to the bridge and the woods besides Chapman, the collapsing church and the Golden Market, the Panda Garden Plaza. We found her car parked in front of the corpse of Regal Lanes. We coasted to the side alley and there she was, pale and shaking, torn, showing half her bra. A thick line of drool poured down the corner of her lip, the skin around her left eye like a giraffe's tongue. Sydney covered her mouth. "Oh God," she whispered. A man stood behind Kennedy. I recognized him. Crazy Bob's roommate, Chucky. "Fucking great," he said. Kennedy wound lazily toward us. "I can't find my underwear," she said. "You gotta help me." I scanned the alley for a brick or pipe. "Come on, Kennedy." She staggered into my arms, wincing at my touch. "Hey!" Chucky started toward us. "Fucking look at me." There was nothing in his hands but a bulge in his right pocket. "One of you going to pay me, or are you going to give me my rock back?" Sydney reached in her pocket and pulled out a bright pink can of pepper spray, holding it out toward his face. Chucky held his hands up and took a step back. I grabbed Kennedy's face and made her look me in the eyes. "What is he talking about?" Kennedy twisted her head back toward Chucky. "Fucking piece of shit." Chucky laughed and blew a snot rocket. I took her face in my hands again and guided her back to mine. "What is he talking about?" "She stole my fucking rock." Chucky stepped forward. Sydney shook the canister at him. I wanted to scream. I wanted to hit her, to make her wish she died in the womb. Instead, I just told her to give it back. Kennedy pulled away from me. Okay, piece of shit." She crouched down and stuck her middle 3 fingers in the back of her throat. She gagged and retched until yellow-pink bile fire hosed through her lips. She coughed and caught her breath and stuck her fingers down her throat again. Retched. Yellow-pink spray against the asphalt, and this time, something else. A tiny baggie filled with gray brittle crystal, lying in the yellow-pink slime pool. Kennedy stood up, wobbling, pointing at the pool. "There you go, faggot." She got on the back of my bike, and we pedaled away until we couldn't hear Chucky screaming, "Fuck you, bitches," anymore. I dropped her at her house, leaving her with Sydney, not saying a word, and rode home. I got inside into my room, and I turned off my phone and locked my door, and never saw either of them ever again. Amir. After graduation, Mom gave me 2 weeks before making me find a job. If you're not in school, you have to work. Maybe a real job will make you appreciate an education. So I went by Utopia and asked Jared if he was hiring. "Is that a joke?" he said. "I have a hard enough time finding hours for Marlon." "Really? Nothing? You got a car yet? Could maybe give you a couple delivery shifts." I shook my head. "Your mom let you borrow hers? You even have your license?" "Never mind. Forget it." He rolled his eyes. "Look, I know the food and beverage guy over at the dog track. They're always going through dishwashers." "Going through dishwashers?" "Yeah, it is what it is." "Damn, Jer, you're really selling me on this place." "I don't know what to tell you. Every job sucks. I went out and tried the sign shop, the copy place, Panda Garden, and the Golden Market. Not even Getty Mart was hiring. I linked up with Tyler over by the Lily Williams. He cut off a bit of a shoelace with a box cutter and lit it on fire in front of his big black pupils. I might have something, he said. Lou. Mom and Dad saw my grades and grew monstrous blue knives, and only sharpened them when I told them the truth about me and Arnie. Their sounds and faces swinging hard, maximum cold, maximum blue. They sent me to my room. Dad later came up and told me I could either stop seeing Arnie or I could move out. I filled my backpack with my shrine and some books and I left. I stayed with Jill and her mom. She gave me her sister's old room. It smelled like stale horses, filled with boxes and stacks of clothes and CD. The house wasn't like anything it'd been before. Stained. Something had broken. They let Arnie stay over. He felt it too. It's so rotten. We set up my shrine in the closet. I didn't tell Jill. She only had knives for those things now. We lit the candles and hummed so quietly, just breath hissing off our teeth. We gnawed purple leaves, moaning, our hands rubbing each other soft and hard, lips connecting and pushing through each other's skins until our teeth clicked together. Black strings washing over us, filling the closet like weeds and eels in an aquarium, our discs spinning and slipping together, and the stain slowly fading. Jill. I didn't go outside unless I had to, not even to fill my script after I gulped the last of my pills. Out there belonged to him now. I let the tent shiver wash over me, made a nest of it. That was my summer. But it was good having Lou around, and even Arnie. Mom was like a stranger. I think I would have lost it if it had only been me and her. Amir. We biked up through downtown toward the highlands, through the rows of dying, gall-ridden trees. What are we doing up here? I asked. Work. Like mowing lawns? Painting? What work? The only kind. He skidded to the curb in front of a white two-story house, like all the houses in Highlands, a red SUV in the driveway, covered in decals, a white skull above crossed AR-15s. Keep honking, I'm reloading. A green snake coiled on yellow grass, a blue X filled with white stars on a sheet of red. I'm like going to wait out here, I said. Nah, don't be like that. He's cool. I'm definitely waiting out here. He turned and got up close to me. He pushed on my shoulder. Don't do this. Come on. I followed him, like always. He rang the doorbell, and the door cracked open immediately, like the man behind it had been waiting for us all along. A Patriots hat on top of pasty, grinning face leaned through. Hey. He opened the door all the way and looked me up and down. Trill, he said, and put out his fist. I'm Chucky. I gave him the bump, and we went inside. It was like a movie set version of a trap house. Framed Rick Ross poster, a stripper pole installed beside the couch, trash all over the floor, dust on every surface, but all that stuff, the flat screen, the sound system, the furniture, was too fancy to not have someone selling drugs. Not in Kinsfield, fucking New Hampshire, at least. Beneath the trash, the house itself was nicer than any place I'd ever dreamed of living. Probably a rich aunt paying the mortgage. Places like Kinsfield are a playground for rich kids who want to be about that life. The problem with someone like that is they'll do anything to prove they're the genuine article. Cats will kill to prove it. You can't trust a guy like that. You ever play this? Chucky said, pointing at the 65-inch TV. A fanged green woman in black pointed hat frozen on the screen. Nah. Here. He handed me the controller. Be right back. He headed upstairs and Tyler followed. I sat on the couch, glazed in a thin white powder, and started the game. Two demon women scissored each other in a pool of blood. I pressed the right shoulder and my Uzi fired, cutting them into pieces. I moved on and killed more witches and demon women with my arsenal. After like an hour, Tyler and Chucky came back down. Tyler zipped up his backpack. Let's go, he said. Chucky patted Tyler's ass like a coach. Make me proud. Be seeing you. We biked back to Tyler's house and went down to his basement. He opened up his backpack and took out the baggies, some weed, some powder, and a shitload of pills. Lou, not Jill. Lou, Jill's mom got me a job at Golden Market. I stocked the shelves. They tried me on the register once, but it was awful, and everyone agreed I would never do it again. But I liked working there. They kept the air conditioning high, so I didn't sweat much, and I could split my mind like a tree in a branch, keeping part of it to myself. I'd gnaw a whirl in the bathroom and let the strings crawl down through the shelves and up my nostrils, watching them drip from things to thing, person to person, orifice to orifice. A moth's wing breached the planet's atmosphere, snowing gray flecks over all of us, a golden, sticky ocean soothing all the cancer from Earth. I'd be the water moving through roots and between stones. I'd ride in with Jill's mom, gripping the door and seat tight as she'd glide through stop signs and red lights, blank slate face. Sometimes the strings would crawl from her tear ducts and wrap themselves around her wrists. That made me feel better. Sometimes. Lots of people from school came through the store, students and teachers, faces I'd recognized but whose names I'd already forgotten. I only saw my parents once. They looked at me and looked away, then left and never came back in again. Jill. I planned an escape. My life became applications to Plymouth State University, Bay State College, University at Albany, Brown University, Empire State College, Southern Connecticut University, Boston University, Providence College, University of Massachusetts, University at Buffalo, University at Bridgeport, Clark University, Fitchburg State. My life became FASFAs, Pell Grants, personal essays. Sometimes I'll fictionalize my life, weaving stories in which I overcame clean and reasonable hardships, dyslexia, Lyme disease, obesity, things that anyone could understand and sympathize with. Other times I just wrote, I need to get out. I need to get out. Amir. We cut the pills down with baby aspirin and repressed them with the pill press Tyler got off eBay. Tyler didn't want to see any of our customers, and I didn't want to see Chucky ever again, so we worked out an arrangement. He'd pick up the merch every week or so and coordinate the buys over Discord, and I'd go meet customers under the Lily Williams Bridge. It was all the way stupid, and we totally should have gotten caught, but Kinsfield PD must have been dumber than your average cop, because it actually worked out. Before long, we were pulling in enough to get a shitty apartment together. It was 2 floors, 2 bedrooms, at the end of the 4-unit complex in the real shabby parts, wood panel everything, and puce gray carpeting, even in the bathroom and kitchenette. The whole place felt like it could get knocked down by heavy gusts, but it was the only place Tyler wanted. Our landlords were sketchy, slimy-mouthed creeps, but they stayed away most of the time. Our immediate neighbor was a gentle, sweet Vietnam vet, and sometimes I'd leave him nugs by his mailbox. A floodlight mounted over my bedroom window attracted all the flies and moths at night. Palm-sized spiders crawled out and plucked them from the air, sucking up their insides, growing even fatter and more juicy. I dreamed about a supercomputer that could erase anything in existence. First I erased all the spiders, then I erased all the people, including myself. I wasn't there anymore, but I could still think and remember, and I wept and wept, wanting to be all the way gone. Lou. Jill asked if I ever thought about college. I told her I used to, but didn't anymore. She rested her forehead on the table. I can't stay here. That makes sense. I feel like I'm going to die here. Then you should leave. Jill. It happened. An email. A university down in western Massachusetts welcomed and congratulated me. I knew if I didn't get out now, I'd never have the chance again. The suck of this place was too strong. Still is. Mom said she was proud of me, but her eyes screamed, "What are you doing to me?" And I went to bed clutching my ulcers, like it'd become necessary to kill others to feed myself, to clothe myself, to heal, patching my wounds with their hair and skin. Amir. I went down to Lily Williams and waited for our customers. I kept inside the shadow beneath the bridge, smoking a bowl, until I saw them at the lip of the slope. 3 kids. They began sliding down. The one in the back tripped and ate shit. Someone always did. I cashed the bowl as they came around. Sean Whitney and Josh Fournier, and Tasha in back, Dusty with the skinned knee. We tried not to look at each other. 40 oxy, Sean said. What? I said. Let me get 40 of oxy. I thought about it. Nah, even though we had plenty. We just have green. Josh smiled like he had something on me. Your boss said you had some. I don't have a boss. Take it or fuck off. Okay, shit. Sean handed me a 20, and I went to my backpack and gave him an eighth of the middies. They all took off. I texted Tasha. Me. If you tell Mom, then knife emoji, blood emoji, skull emoji. Jill. I didn't pack much. Mom, Lou, and Arnie all came with me to the bus station. I hugged Mom close and told her I was sorry. She whispered, "It's okay, it's okay, it's okay." Lou. I told her that everything was going to be better for her. She got on the bus and her mom got wet-faced and drove us back home. She said it was okay if I kept staying with her. I said thank you. My stomach flipped damp. Amir. I tried to hug Tyler, or kiss him, or touch his crotch, but he pulled away, as though I was coated in filth. My life became an effort to keep him from slipping away. We tried shooting some new videos for the channel. We hit the spider's legs, the crease tunnel, the abandonments again. We never saw anything, and Tyler barely said a word, not even to narrate. He could barely look at the camera. There's a place, he said, slowly and carefully. I can't find it again. We came back to the apartment, and he went straight to his room. I packed a bowl and knocked on his door. What? Okay, he said, all jittery and stilted. He sat at his desk, a classroom desk he'd lifted from school, staring into his laptop, open to some freeware video editing software, an image of him, frowning, glancing away from the camera lens, frozen on the screen. He turned to me, eyes swollen and red. This isn't ever going to be anything, is it? Time compresses the older you get. Days turn to weeks, turn to months, turn to seasons, turn to years, until your life resides in just one moment expanding forever, where each step and breath folds wrinkles into your face, carving minute, irreversible wounds between your joints, pressing down the notches between your spine, driving your ankles and knees to ruin. I feel it now, and it'll only be worse in the future. I woke up. Tyler stood over me in a ripped t-shirt, naked from the waist down. What month is it? He said. Bro, get the fuck out of here. It's February? I batted his leg with my pillow. It's fucking August. Get out of here. And he left.